Find the equation of the inverse of a function. There are 3 steps here. Step number 1, interchange x and y. You change the position of x and y in your equation. Everywhere you see x, you substitute y. Everywhere you see y, you substitute x. And then you solve for y and replace y with this symbol, which is the inverse symbol. Take a look at the example. Decide whether the equation defines a one-to-one function. If so, find the equation that defines the inverse. Here we have f of x equal to 3x minus 4. Step number 1, I'm going to write this as y is equal to 3x minus 4. That's what f of x is. I'm going to change the position of x and y into my equation. Everywhere I see y, I'm going to put x. Everywhere I see x, I'm going to put y. Simple as that. And the second step is to solve for y. If I solve for y, I can add 4 to both sides of the equation and divide both sides of the equation by 3. I get y is equal to x plus 4 over 3. Now this is my inverse function. I can use a little symbol here and say these two are inverse of each other. So in 3x minus 4 is inverse of x plus 4 over 3. Decide whether the equation defines a one-to-one function. If so, find the equation that defines the inverse. Here we have f of x equal to x cubed plus 1. I'm going to write this as y is equal to x cubed plus 1. Step number 1 is to exchange the position of x and y. Everywhere I see y, I'm going to put x. Everywhere I see x, I'm going to put y, and then solve for y. To solve for y here, I need to subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. I get y cubed is equal to x minus 3. Here I need to take a cube root of both sides to eliminate this 3, or raise both of the equations to power 1/3. So y would be equal to cube root of x minus 1. So this would be the inverse of this function. I'm going to use this little symbol then. So that is the inverse function. Decide whether the equation defines a one-to-one function. If so, find the equation that defines the inverse. Here we have y is equal to x minus 3 squared. Now this is a parabola, isn't it? This looks like a parabola that opens upward. Remember that? Those of you who are working on parabola, recall that this is a parabola that opens upward. That the shape of the parabola, because a is positive, this is y is equal to like a x squared, kind of like that, right? Except this parabola is shifted 3 units here to the right. Recall the shifting method on the parabola in my previous session. But just by looking at this, the graph is a vertical parabola. The vertical parabola looks like y is equal to x squared. Now, if this is a is positive, then we know this parabola actually shifts. That would be open upward. So this is a graph of a vertical parabola. Now, a graph of vertical parabola in this shape is not a one-to-one function, because if I draw a horizontal line, it's going to pass the graph more than one point, and that's violate the definition of being one-to-one. So this is not a one-to-one function. Find inverse of x if f of x is given to me as x minus 4 over x plus 2. Note that x cannot be equal to -2 because I would make this undefined. Step number 1 is I'm going to replace f of x with y and then go through the first step. First step is to exchange the position of x and y. Everywhere I see y, I'm going to put x. Everywhere I see x, I'm going to put y. And then I need to solve for y. To solve for y, this is like a proportion. So let's write this as x over 1. If I cross multiply this, I get x times y plus 2 is equal to 1 times y minus 4. I can distribute the x. Remember, we're solving for y. I have two terms contains y. This term and this term. I have to collect them together. I'm going to subtract y from both sides of the equation. This goes to the left, becomes xy minus y. If I add minus 2 or subtract 2x from both sides of the equation, this 2x goes to the right. That becomes minus 2x. So you need to collect all the terms contains y in one side of the equation, so you can factor the y out. If I factor the y, I get x minus 1. To solve for y, now I need to divide both of the equation by this coefficient of y, which is x minus 1 now. There it is. Y is equal to minus 2x minus 4 over x minus 2. This is the inverse of f of x. I can use this symbol. Looks like the symbol is missing that minus 1 at the top, so let's put it there. So that would be the inverse of that. So we use that little minus 1 that indicates that's the inverse, where x cannot be equal to 1 here.